Georgia Rose from Zencuda. I'm trying to set up a new camera and I look all white. I don't know why. I got to fix that. So I hope everybody's feeling really good. We are live in the Soul Space. As you can see, I am still in the home studio waiting for my studio to be done in Strong Island. And I actually saw some pictures today. And Bobby, my beautiful producer and the best producer on the planet, has violet lights in the studio just for our Soul Space. I am so flippin' excited. So I am going to share my show as soon as I find it here on Facebook. Things are a little wonky this week because we've got so much stuff going on. Everybody, I think, has so much stuff going on. So I'm going to share it to my personal feed, and then I'm going to share it on the Soul Space. So if you just bear with me, and if there's anybody on already, if you can share the show, I would absolutely love that. Okay, so we shared the show. I'm on camera. Got to fix some lighting and stuff, but I think we're good. So I got a few people on already. I got 4 comments in here. Oops, got to turn this. So I got a few people on already. There I went live. Always a minute delay. Okay, whoops. So who have I got on here? I'm gonna look at my comments. Got Laureen on here, I can see. All right. My comments won't load. Here we are. Yeah, there I am. Boy, I have a lot of lipstick on. I'm going to be self-critical now. And what is our subject tonight? Our subject tonight is why do we accept less than we deserve? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So first, I want to give you guys a little astrology like I normally do. And we'll see where that goes, right? Just my camera needs a little adjustment. If you guys just want to bear with me, I'm going to see what I can do here. That looks a little better. All right. So I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to wing it, and I'm going to do the best job I can for you guys, because that's what I do. Okay. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of the astrology, going to pull some cards, and I definitely want to talk about our subject tonight. But first I want to talk about the astrology, because right now we have a lot of changes happening between now and March. And this week is a real action-packed week. You're going to see this week that we have a lot of planets changing, getting ready to change. We have a new moon coming in on Sunday. So you're going to want to watch for that. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I'm just looking for something that I need to talk about. Okay, got it. And you guys are going to see that things that start out this week a certain way are going to be very different by Friday, Saturday. You will absolutely see that. So I'm going to move my camera a little bit. I got Sarah in the house. I see Nikki Delaney's on here. We got a lot of people on. All right, so let's get started. So again, I'm in my home studio because we are redoing the Strong Island studio. And as I said, for those of you who are just tuning in, Bobby's got violet lights in the studio. I am so excited. I can't believe it. So excited. Anyway, so let me start with the astrology tonight. We'll get that out of the way. So I don't know if you guys have been feeling any intensity, but there's a lot of intensity coming in. Valentine's Day is tomorrow. My little heart mudra for all of you guys. And I hate to say it, but Valentine's Day, the energy isn't going to be so much love. I mean, there's always love in the air, right? We just have to find it. But tomorrow you're going to see that the energy can be a little annoying. It was a little bit I found today. I had a very hard day for myself today. I actually had something happen to kind of hurt my feelings, but I was, going through it. But tomorrow we have some Pluto things coming in with Uranus, and it's going to make us feel a little annoyed. It's also going to make us feel like we need to make decisions about things. So be prepared for that. This is also a Sun-Saturn conjunction coming in tomorrow. It's the last time the sun will hit Saturn in Aquarius for about 20 years. So it's really closing up some things. And of course, Saturn has been showing us where our restrictions are in our life and things like that. But this actually comes in with some things about belief systems. So don't be surprised if, like the 14th, 15th, 16th, you have some challenges happen in your life about your own belief systems. And we're going to see things kind of carried out globally in the news. Don't be surprised if you see people really digging in their heels about their own belief systems. This Sun-Saturn energy that comes in on the 14th, which is Valentine's Day, is an energy of, this is my beliefs. I'm entitled to them. I'm not going to believe anything different. My belief is the right belief. And I was watching something just before I came in tonight about the politician from Arizona. I forget what her name is, Carrie Lake, I think it is. And she was on, and they had a big controversy because she didn't stand for one of the Black songs that came on that they're saying is the Black national anthem. I really don't know that much about it, but just from this perspective of Sun-Saturn conjunction, that's a good way to understand what it's about. It's about, this is my belief. I'm not giving in on them. I'm going to stand my ground on my belief system. It's very dogmatic. So don't be surprised if the next couple of days, things like that pop up somewhere in your, sphere. It's really a system of energy of honoring tradition and systems, and I'm right kind of an energy. So we're going to see a lot of that play out. And then Wednesday, we've got a Venus Neptune meeting up in Pisces. This is about your dreams, and not just your dreams when you're sleeping, but it's also about where you're being led. Like, what is your dream? What is your beautiful, idealistic visualization of your life, the way you would want it if you could dream anything into being? And we're going to find that's going to be a running theme this week coming up. A lot of things come in about boundaries and dreams and what we're dreaming. A dream maybe that we started the seed of last spring really starts to come to fruition now. We start to see a lot of clarity and concreteness about what we want to do with that plan of action. We get rid of a lot of that stuck energy. We're really ebbing away from that now that we've had for a long time. And we're starting to see a lot clearer. So this comes in also with the Venus-Neptune meetup, because what's going to happen is those dreams come back into our minds again, and they come back into our reality. But now we start to see, what are the obstructions? What do I need to adjust? What do I need to let go of? How do I need to really make changes and get rid of the things that have been blocking me from actually putting those dreams into my reality and manifesting them the way I should? So we're going to see a lot of that energy from now until like mid-March, but it especially comes out this week when we've got these transits coming in, and it's boom, 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 February 14th, 15th, and 16th. Just very thirsty. I was in an office today. It was very dry. So the 15th, we've got that energy coming in of what are your dreams, right on the tail end of us really digging into our belief systems. So do you see the themes here? This is about the things that we really feel we're meant to do in our life. Don't be surprised this week if you see a lot of people quitting jobs, redoing things that they thought they were really going to do in maybe a longer time frame from now. They do them now. Also, you're going to see things that play out that perhaps were of an energy where someone was planning something, planning a change, but you didn't know about it. And this is the week it actually happens. You know, maybe that person at work that you thought was there forever suddenly comes in and gives notice, or maybe you're in a relationship and you've been trying to keep it really calm and copacetic, and not knowing your partner's planning on leaving. That's the kind of energy this week. It's really endings that have been in the works for a while, but maybe not revealed to us. Or we may have a real change of heart about something that we've been thinking about for a while, and now we really suddenly do it. That's the energy this week especially. And then on the 16th, we have, which is Thursday, Mercury squares the nodes. This is what we refer to in astrology as the bends, because when a planet squares another planet or a point in the sky, it can't see it. It's squaring it. It's like a right angle. So it obstructs the vision. It obstructs everything. So this is really about making choices, and making a choice that maybe you don't have all the information and maybe you never will, but you've got to make that choice because now's the time to move. You got to move something forward. So you can see how this energy is all tying into some changes that could be really big in our lives. And then we have this energy that comes in the same day with Uranus and Taurus. They're on a world point, which means it's very powerful. And this energy comes in and really creates all of the energy we've been feeling, you know, what you really believe to be true, that you're very dogmatic about, and then maybe some things happening that show you what your dream is, and then something unexpected happens that maybe motivates you, like really now is the time to do it. And then we have this energy that comes in that gives us the vision, that clarifies the vision, encourages us to look at things with a different perception. And this is about thinking about everything in a different way. The things we started out last spring and we planted seeds about, we had a vision of the way they were going to be. Now they come in a lot differently and a little bit stronger, but maybe you see the path more clearly, but it might not be the path that you planned all along. So just get ready for that. I hope this is all making sense to you. It's a changeable week, so there's really not any simplistic way to explain it. But what I can tell you, if there is one axis that's running through all this energy, it is that this is our soul purpose. This is an energy of, you know, it's not like, oh, I want to start wearing yellow, or, oh, I don't like my car. This is an energy of, I always wanted to do this. This is a really big dream for me. I want to start taking the steps towards actually activating it. Or this is about this relationship has sucked for a while. Every time I have an argument and I get in my car to leave, I think, wow, I should end this. This is the week you do. Or if you've been in a situation where you are stifled at something at work or in a relationship or even in the place you live, this is the week where something's going to motivate you either to do it and change it or start something very concrete in that direction. And also keep in mind that while this does this for all of us, it's also doing it for the people around us. So our partners at work or at home or wherever, they're also having the same energy. So be aware of what the people that are important to you in your life that affect your destiny and your fate. Be aware of what their dreams are, of what they are harboring, because this is an energy where those things may come into fruition or where they may suddenly say, you know, this just doesn't feel right to me anymore. I don't want to keep doing this. I don't want to keep living here. I don't want to keep working here. I don't want to keep being with these people, or I don't want to keep worshiping at this certain church, or whatever it is. It's a life-altering kind of energy. And then as we lead up to the new moon on Sunday, that's when Thursday, Friday, we have that energy about the Sun Saturn. Now, Saturn has been in signs that it loves for the last 5 years, coming out of Capricorn and into Aquarius, and now it's getting ready to go into Pisces. So Saturn has crumbled structures, it's given us limitations, it's shown us where our cracks in the driveway are. The sun now hits that point in the sky and they team up. They'll only be here, they won't be here again together in Aquarius for another 20 years. So this is the time to really take advantage of this particular energy. And what it is it's honoring the energy of change. It's honoring all these things that I just talked about and all the energies. They're pushing us into a future. They're pushing us into a result of all of the structures that have crumbled while Pluto was in Capricorn these last 15 years. And now Saturn is coming into a sign that's not a home sign for it for the first time in 5 years, where it's going to really have new energy. So by middle of March, we have a lot of brand new energy coming in, lighter, more fiery, more pushing us forward. So whatever's coming up this week, whatever the universe is telling you, it's time, it's time. And remember, over the last several months, I've kept saying to you, it isn't time yet. We aren't done yet. This is the tweaking. This is the molding. This is the going back to the drawing board. Well, now we're approaching liftoff. And so whatever occurs this week and next, make sure that you honor those changes. Even if at times they're challenging or seem devastating, honor them in some way, accept them for what they are, because they are activating you into a place that you are absolutely supposed to be. And you can take that to the bank, all right? So again, when the sun hits that Saturn point on Thursday and into Friday, this wakes us up. It's making final decisions. It's commitments that don't work anymore. That's a good way to put it. Commitments that don't work anymore. Sometimes my own notes surprise me. So think about what those commitments that aren't working for you in your life are. Think about what those blockages are, because they're probably going to change, or you're going to be very compelled to change them. Now, we all have free will, right? So if we reach a precipice, a threshold of intolerance, and we keep ourselves in that intolerable thing, which we do have a choice to do, right? A lot of us don't always listen to the universe. Some of us always listen to the universe. And then there are those that sometimes we listen and sometimes we really don't want to do that. What I'm going to say to you is, once again, honor the change, embrace what's happening, because whatever these commitments are, if we don't alter them, adjust them, walk away from them of our own accord, in not so very short a time, the universe will whack them out where they're supposed to be anyway. And we all want to be in control, right? So that's really the week. And then, of course, on the 18th, as we start shifting into Friday, Saturday, the shifts do get kind of emotional, because on Friday, Jupiter squares the moon, and Jupiter's in Aries, which is a fire sign. So all of these things that have been coming up all week, maybe our niggly universal words in our ears that we're ignoring, Friday, we start to get emotional about it. Friday is the day that also, remember, as we feel, so does our partners and our loved ones feel. So people start to get a little emotional. And then, you know, by the weekend, we've got Jupiter sextiling Mercury. What does that mean in English? It means that we've made a decision, and we've probably announced it to people. We've said this commitment doesn't work anymore. We've decided we're leaving the partner, we're leaving the job, we're leaving the school, we're leaving the block, we're leaving the country, we're leaving the apartment complex, whatever it is, you're leaving it. You're breaking the commitment. You're done with it. It's over. The contract's done. Saturn's getting ready to go into Pisces. Pluto's getting ready in a few weeks to go into Capricorn. Those energy lines are done. If you hold on to them, you're just going to be dragged behind the cart. So this is really about things that we're changing. So when we go into that Saturday energy, you're going to find that this is the things that change because we're being told to set up things. Whatever we are told to set up, wherever in our charts we are going to make those changes, that's the energy that these are plans for the next 12 years. So whatever it is, this is the next 12 years. So make sure that those commitments that don't work for you anymore, the ones that are blocking things, like, for example, you're in a partnership that just stifles a really strong quality about you, or something that you were meant to do in the world, or you're in a job where you're not appreciated, or an employment where you want to do a certain thing, but you can't develop it. Those type of commitments are holding you back from what you are supposed to be doing over the next 12 years. So maybe there's a better partner, a better position, a better place to live, whatever it is. So give into that change, because the universe is trying to drag you into the next 12 years to be better. So that's about that. This is also a consolidation energy, a lot of consolidation going into effect. You are going to find that the energy gets consolidated, and this is all being done to simplify our lives a little more. Look, Pluto in Capricorn has been really complicated for the last 15 years. It's structure upon structure getting examined, inspected, crushed, rebuilt, whatever. So all the things that you're thinking about rebuilding, that, out of the rubble, out of the ash, out of the loss, now we're setting up the next 12-year cycle when the rebuilding is done, when we start to really make those dreams come true. So think about what those are for you. Journaling is a really good idea. I'm actually doing a mindful mindset mastery class for my regular employment tomorrow. And that class is really in the beginning. I always tell everyone to start journaling. You want to have a mindset journal. And when we think about mindset, we don't just think about our own mindset about our particular life and goals. That's very important. But you also have a mindset about everything you do. So it's always good to journal a little bit about, what is your mindset about the place you work? What is your mindset about each one of your relationships? What is your mindset about your own image, about your own body image, your own image about who you are in the world? Those are all mindsets. And if they're not in balance, you can't reach your full potential. And that's what the Zen Kudos community is all about. And that's why I do this podcast every week, to kind of help you guys balance and motivate you and put you into some kind of guidance where you're being guided by a higher power, whether that's the energy of the cosmos, or tarot, or angelic energy, or God, or whatever you believe in. It all comes from the same source, which is our creator. Whatever you call it doesn't really matter. And we need to be in balance in order to connect with that source to reach our full potential. So you really want to make sure these commitments that no longer serve are not blocking you from your next 12 years of expansion. All right. This is really a time when the dreams get to be bigger dreams and we take concrete steps. On the 19th, we have the sun going into Pisces, big dreams. We also have a new moon. So that's the time, and I'll do a video about that new moon. So I don't want to take up too much time on this tonight, but this is really when the stuckness is released. This is very potent energy coming in order to bring us where we need to be. So make those adjustments, guys, make those adjustments. All right. The new moon is going to bring in lots of endings, believe it or not, but we're ready for them, I think. Are you ready? I think I'm ready. I don't know. Are you guys ready? I'm going to look in the comments. Are you guys ready? I'm sorry. I'm so thirsty. Michelle Allen Oder says, I'm speaking to her. I'm speaking to everybody, Michelle. We're all in the same boat, sweetie. That's how I feel sometimes anyway. It's so funny because I have a yoga teacher that I always go in on teacher training now, you guys know. So I'm like in there all the time. And I have a yogi that I always say to her, will there be like 20 or 30 people in the class? And I'm like, oh my God, I wish she'd get out of my head. She's speaking to me, right? Because we all have a lot of the same energies, especially with the astrology, bringing it all into us. Janine says that she felt emotional last week. Sometimes the energies, and I know, Janine, you're a Capricorn, so depending on what planets you have in that portion of the chart, you have Capricorn is a really big energy right now. Everybody look to what house Capricorn was in. I'm going to do a video next week about the last 15 years, Pluto and Capricorn for each sign and where it wants to bring you now. So tune in next Monday. But sometimes, depending on where we are in our charts, as far as our planetary transits, the energy might affect us a week before, a week after, whatever. New moons, for instance, I always feel 2 days before and 2 days after. Mercury retrogrades don't bother me so much because I was born during Mercury retrograde, so it's diluted a little bit. I live that way. So I'm used to doing everything twice or really checking twice. So Aaron says, what if you already had your endings? That's good. That means the universe has pushed you into this new 12-year cycle. And it means that you were doing the work karmically. Saturn is a lord of karma, right? You were doing the work karmically that you needed to do to get to this beginning point. So you have a lot of space available now. Be very careful and very contemplative about what you put in it, because you have this beautiful space that you can fill with all wonderful things to expand you and expand the love in your life. So you really want to do that. Hi, Marion. How are you? I hope everything's good up there. She's upstate New York. Colleen, how are you doing? So we got quite a group on here tonight. Hi, Anne. Got Mickey, Barbara. How are you? Who else do I have on here? I said Laureen before. Joanne's on. She found the show. Great. And we've got Mickey, Sarah, Bonnie. Hey, Bonnie. Bonnie does Reiki with me. I couldn't think of the word for a minute. Craziness, I am. All right, we got a lot of people on tonight. Hope I didn't miss anybody. So before I go to cards, because I know you guys all love the cards, I want to talk a little bit about our theme about why do we accept less than we deserve. And we all do it, no matter how evolved we are. There are times when it's almost like for me now, I do it and then I'll realize it like later on in the process, and I'll be like, holy crap, I can't believe I did that to myself again, right? We have these situations. I've worked really long and hard for a lot of years to filter out dysfunction from my life. Impossible to filter it all out, right? I'm hoping. But I think during that process, we still oftentimes allow things to be less than what we deserve. I think sometimes that comes because we can be in a space of survival. And we may think, like, especially if it's a job or a relationship, we might think we have no choice. But we always have choices. And I think what happens is when we accept less than we deserve, we get in this mode sometimes of not being able to come out of that and expand ourselves to be a better person or better resources at whatever we're doing. Like if it's a job restricting us, we do it so long that we don't have the talent anymore to come out of it sometimes. And did you ever see people like that? Like after a while, they're just grinding it out. They've accepted their lot in life, so to speak. And I never wanted to be that kind of person. And I hope in the Zenkuda community, we're all striving not to be that person, because I want to see everybody thrive, not just be in that survival mode. But what I found, and I can only talk from personal experience, and I'd love you guys to call in or comment about your own experiences, because I think we really learn most when we connect in that vulnerability. And I know from my experience, I had a lot of shame in my life growing up. And it wasn't shame like anything. I don't even know how to explain it. Like it wasn't shame like people think something really catastrophic has to happen. It was just a shame because the way needs weren't met in the household I grew up, and there was some abuse going on, and it was just a very harsh place to live. And sometimes it was embarrassing to the outside world for me. And my father was big on shame, shame and blame, right? And so what that did for me in my life, I believe shame is an energy that is very, very heavy. It's very dense. It's hard to get rid of shame. I can even feel it at times still in my physical body, And when we overcome that, or we begin to overcome that, what happens is we realize that what shame does, what it actively materializes as in our adult life, is a sabotage. Because when we feel shame, we feel invisible, right? I tell the story oftentimes, like I used to hide in closets as a little kid. So you feel invisible, right? You make yourself invisible. I'm not really here. I'm not really here. When that becomes your mantra, after a while, you're not here, right? You're completely detached. So in that disconnection, we get to a point where we don't feel we're deserving. And so it's easier for us to be invisible and just allow ourselves to receive less than we deserve because of the shame. So shame is a sabotager. Shame really sabotages us. And as we get older, as a child, we can't reason it out. We don't really have the wherewithal. And when our brain is formed and functioned in a shame environment, as an adult, we carry that. We carry it in our physical bodies. We carry it in the way that we're conditioned to react in relationships and in the way we relate to everything in the world. So the way it materializes in that saboteur and sabotaging is we will sabotage relationships. And this is probably unconscious for most people, but you'll sabotage relationships by being too controlling. You know, I can remember a time probably in the early 2000s when I was, flipping houses with my partner, my spouse. I was running a real estate firm. I was helping him with a huge electrical contracting business. I had two sick parents. I was like, my life was so full of everything. And I remember I had to control it all because if I didn't, it would spin out of control. But the bottom line was I was really kind of spinning out of control with all these things. I remember, we had a lot of investments and houses and all these things. And I remember at one point, like literally working out of 5 different checkbooks at the time and thinking in my mind, no one should have this much pressure in their life. I don't think this is the way I'm supposed to live, but I'm just in this. I'm grinding it out. I accepted less than what I deserved, right? And it may sound glamorous to some people, that life, but it was not glamorous for me. From the outsides, it was very glamorous, but it wasn't glamorous in what it did to me because I was living under an inadequacy. And that's what makes us accept less than we deserve. There's some kind of an inadequacy going on within us. And at that time, I used to have to control everything. Like I literally would do a Christmas party at my home every year for 100 people and put a tent over the back of the house. And I literally used to have a big binder that every year I would write down every detail of the party, down to the linens, the food served, what went over well, what didn't, because it had to be perfect. Now, can you imagine having all those things going on in your life and on top of it, the holidays and being that controlling? And I was like that. Yet at the same time, I was a loving person. I did a lot of things really well. And I was very looked up to and prominent and people loved me. But I had myself in this box of inadequacy where I had to control every little detail because that made me feel like I was in control of something I couldn't control. So that played out in my life as deserving less than what I had, because there were a lot of personal relationships in my life, my spouse at the time, that really wasn't treating me very well. But I accepted it because as long as in my mind, looking back, I wasn't aware of it then, in my mind, if everything was perfect, then eventually that would be okay too. But I was accepting all these things that were less than what I should have had. And the more that was put on me, the more responsibility heaped on me. I just kept taking it on the back and taking it on the back. Okay, I'll do that too. I'll do that too, because I thought that's what I deserved. When a strong, healthy, balanced individual would have said, I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I want to go to the nursing home and spend time with my mother. Or I can't do that. I have to go take my father to the doctor. Or, that's really a wonderful cause, but unfortunately my time isn't able to do that now. But I didn't. I thought I had to do all these things in order to be loved because that's what I deserved, was to do all these things. It was something I had to do to get something back. I wasn't deserving enough as a person to just have those things and be loved in the way I should have been. So that's what shame does to us. It sabotages things by controlling, putting us in that control mode, like, oh my God, the dish towels don't match. If that's your life, you need to go within. You need to really understand what's triggering me. Where is this coming from? Because I was like that for a few years. The other thing shame does is and some of you will identify with this, it makes you a rescuer, right? Well, you're in a relationship. And it's like, well, he's really not like that presentable, but I can fix this. Or, sometimes he doesn't really talk to me very well, but I get it. He has a hard day. Yeah, I can change him. I can love it out of him. Yeah, we can't. And you're not a rescuer, and you're doing that because you think that you don't deserve to go out for something and reach higher. So you'll take the mediocrity or the below par because either the shame in your life or other things that happen to you are making you think you're not deserving. So that's what happens. So here's a few of the things that cause us to feel like we're not deserving. It can be the shame, right? Shame is a big one. And shame doesn't have to be that you were abused drastically. Shame can be like you were teased in school. I know somebody who was teased because they had really big ears and they carry that with them a whole life. And they're so super sensitized because the shame is keeping them a prisoner, right? So one of the things, I'm going to go through my list here. the way that shame manifests is sometimes it can manifest as a denial of reality. Like I also suffered from this. I remember, and I can distinctly tell you, my ex-husband, I used to think he was the absolutely best thing since sliced bread. Like he could do no wrong in my eyes. Like I literally used to just like idolize him, I guess. And it's so funny because if you look at every picture that of us together, I don't have too many of them anymore, but if you ever looked at every picture of us together, he was tall. And in every picture, I'm like this, literally looking up to the man, right? And I remember having dinner with one of my life mentors. She was a person who's very dear to me, an older lady, and she was a mentor to me in my life, in my business, in everything. She was a very wise person, real tough person. And I remember we were talking about something and how, my ex and I were in this business, we were flipping houses now and all this stuff, and how I was a little bit pissed off because, I hope I can say that, because he was supposed to be doing something on this particular house and he didn't show up for a couple of days. And one of the other tradesmen was upset. And I was just relaying the story. And she leaned over the table and she looked at me and she said, well, you realize you're expecting a lot of things he's not capable of. And I was so like indignant. I got angry. I was like, what are you talking about? He can do anything. He's amazing. He did blah, 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 blah. I literally couldn't see it. It took years for me to see it. That, yeah, that's how it was. He wasn't so responsible, and I was carrying all that weight too. And that's okay. Everyone has their own level of responsibility. I'm not judging him or saying it was bad. I'm just saying that I didn't see it. My reality was delusional because, again, I had myself living in this fantasy land because I didn't want to go to someplace where I was actually receiving less than I deserved. So I made it, I was in illusion about it. Oh no, everything's fine. The other way accepting less than what we deserve can manifest can be the illusion that we can actually change it and do magic, like the rescuing part, except that this is a little different. It's like even accepting something less than what we deserve, not even just in a relationship, but just in a situation. Your kid doesn't clean their room and it's horrible and it's starting to smell even, so you always have that with teenagers, right? But you're going to clean it when they leave. When they go for this next sleepover, you're going to whip that room into magic. When what you really deserve is a child who understands your boundaries and obeys the rules in the house. But now you're going to step in and work your magic, but you're still accepting less than what you deserve. What you deserve is to discipline and expect the child to do what you want him to do. So that's one of the ways we do that in a lot of situations. We compensate. We're going to work our magic. We're going to make this look great. And we're going to expend all of our energy doing that instead of expending the energy where it should be in creating a situation where we're getting what we truly deserve. Another one is, simple low self-esteem. So how does low self-esteem manifest? Well, a lot of times people think, oh, she gained weight and she has low self-esteem, or, oh, they don't have a lot of money and they have low self-esteem. That is BS. Low self-esteem comes from childhood mostly. A lot of times it can come from an adult relationship as well, but low self-esteem comes when you grow up and you don't learn about your feelings being adequate. Again, the invisibility comes in, the hush, you're never heard, right? That is the low self-esteem. When you're not important enough in your formative years to be heard, whether it's by a teacher or in a social setting or in your own home growing up, that manifests as that low self-esteem. And when you have that conditioning, what happens is you don't make the effort to be heard. You'll get frustrated at people. Maybe even you sometimes are angry and rageful because you don't feel like you're being heard, but you don't have the ability to speak in the correct way to be heard. When you're screaming, no one hears you. So that low self-esteem really comes from the fact that you weren't heard, you didn't feel important in your formative years. And so what happens is your feelings don't matter. So how would you place yourself in a situation or in a mindset that you are getting what you deserve when your feelings don't matter, right? Makes sense. And then, of course, there is the unhealthy attachment and dependency. Have you guys ever known a couple who, like, it's almost like they move together, like they're never apart? If he goes shopping, she goes shopping. If she goes to get her nails done, he goes to somewhere with her. It's like they move like this. They're like fish or something, like stuck together, Velcro. that is usually a situation where neither one of them is really getting what they deserve. They're settling for that other person because chances are they can both be half a person and together they're a whole person. And don't we all deserve to be our very own whole person? So that's a symptom of getting less than what you deserve. You're so unhealthily attached, you don't want to let the person out of your sight because they're completing you. You know, there's that line from Jerry Maguire, "You complete me." No one's supposed to complete you guys. You're supposed to be complete and then find your other person that makes like a big, huge thing. Not two people making one thing. You're supposed to make big thing. That always cracks me up. And I see those things on Facebook that say, "Someday I'll find someone who will hug me so tight they'll put my pieces back together." No, you're supposed to put your own pieces back together so that when you step into a relationship, you're not broken and offering somebody, "Hey, I'm in pieces. Want to have a relationship?" I'm sorry, but it just cracks me up. So don't believe every meme you read. I know after a couple margaritas and a box of chocolate, they sound like they're good, but they're probably not. Just keeping it real, people. Okay. And then the last two are emptiness, unmet needs for attachment. Like if you grew up in a house that was, I'm sorry, we're blaming the parents on everything, right? But if you grew up not being able to have your needs met in the sense of nobody's attaching to you, like someone who's an orphan or someone who maybe, like I know for me, my mom was knocked out when she had me. I think she woke up like a day later and had to ask if I was a boy or a girl. So I never had anyone hold me except some nurse as a baby for a couple of days. So I didn't have mother bonding, and it kind of screwed me up a little bit for a few years. But I'm just kidding. It didn't really. I guess maybe it did. I don't know. But but what happens is if you don't have that bonding experience as an infant or at growing up years, it makes you feel like you have an abandonment. And so what happens is we play out whatever our experience is in our formative years in our relationships and also in where we work. That's why a lot of times where we work seems like our family of origin, if it is dysfunctional. We do that a lot until we're healed. So I'm just reading my notes. So when you have a need for an attachment, you've never experienced that attachment, that makes you really become immersed in your partner, but you're anxious about it because you don't know what it's supposed to feel like, you know? So an example is someone who is in a good relationship, with a term good, they're dependent, but they seem to identify with that person as being their identity. Their self is rooted in the other person because they never had a chance to experience their own self developing their own sense of self by bonding with someone else. I hope that makes sense. Let me explain that again. So you have a fear of abandonment because you never had that attachment, but yet the only way you know how to receive that attachment is through another. So when you relate to someone later in life, that other becomes your reason for identity. I hope that makes sense. All right. So what happens is you're going to experience chronic loneliness, chronic isolation, and constantly keep trying to fill it with the other. And that's a real sticky wicket, because if we can't fill it to ourselves where our loneliness becomes just solitude that we enjoy, it's very hard to experience a full self and 100% authentic relationship. And then we have the fear of abandonment, which happens from the not early bonding, like we just discussed. And that's kind of the same thing. But what happens in that regard is a lot of times people will choose a partner that's emotionally unavailable. And, you know, there's all this stuff and there is something to it, but I'm not going to go into it in this show with the empath and the narcissist and why they attract. But what I can tell you is that there is a part of us, if we've been abandoned in life or we have abandonment issues from childhood, where we choose partners who are emotionally unavailable, because then we have no chance of getting abandoned. So we are attracted to the detachment because there's no risk there. So, you know, think about that. If you think you're always attracting narcs and narcissists, that might be why, because you are actually attracting yourself to that, you know, detachment because it's safe for you. It's what you learned, you know, that could be. So these are all the things that set us up for accepting less than what we deserve. All right. So when we get into those patterns, how do we cure it? All right. So if you're finding yourself in that pattern, how do we move away from it? How do we put ourselves in a healthy, beautiful balance to get what we deserve? So there's a few things that we can do. So first of all, some of these, I can hear a collective groan. Some of you are going to be like, oh no, right? And some of you are going to be, well, I think I might do that, or maybe I am working on that already. But this is the main one. You've got to spend time with yourself. And out of everything that I just described, really, do some self-study and really ask yourself, when you're on those beach walks or when you're just, sitting around, you come home from work and you're like, I'm going to binge watch Netflix tonight. Maybe you don't want to binge watch Netflix. Maybe you want to put on your own movie, the one in here, and just kind of sit in a chair and watch it. Like, what has my life been like? Where in my life have I accepted less than what I deserved? And what's my pattern? Is it everywhere? Is it in relationship? And where have I really excelled? And then what I would do, and this is a good test, is if you can actually journal and ask yourself, what are my strengths? What are the things I like best about myself and that I'm really good at? And what are my weaknesses? And then really look at that. And then ask yourself, where in my life right now on the daily can I strengthen my strengths even more and strengthen my weaknesses as well? What are my daily opportunities? What are my daily habits even, where I'm allowing myself to strengthen these attributes and these weaknesses about myself? Do I give myself those opportunities on a daily basis? And if the answer is no, and you're not really having behaviors where they strengthen things that you like about yourself and are, plugging those cracks in the driveway that we all have, right? If your daily life isn't supporting you in that way, that's the first place you have to make adjustments. An example of that would be, something simple. You want to quit smoking, but you keep buying cigarettes. Well, then your daily habits are not supporting what you really want to do. Maybe one of your best attributes is that you're a really good athlete, but you haven't done anything physical in a while. So is your daily routine, is your daily life giving you opportunities to make good on the strengths you have? No. And we do those kind of things in our life, right? Maybe you're really good at working with animals. Well, do you do that? Or is that just something you are good at, but you don't really embody? So the first step to putting yourself in a mindset of getting what you truly deserve is starting to give what you deserve to yourself. Sounds really simple, but it's not as simple as we think because we set ourselves up for failure. Dieting is a perfect example of that. Every day you might wake up and say, I'm going to do this today, I'm going to do this today, but you don't. So your daily life is not supporting what you truly desire and deserve for yourself. So in that journal, I would, write those questions down and answer them. And then I would answer, what are some of the things I could do to strengthen my strengths more and to shore up my weaknesses? What kind of activities do I need to do? What kind of a mindset do I need to change? Do I need to read a book? Do I need to join a club? Do I need to find a support buddy? What do I need to activate in my life? And keep it simple, very simple. Keep it like, if it's that you're athletic, but you haven't really done anything in a while, but you love that feeling, maybe then it's just joining a gym or going for a walk every day. And keep it small and simple in the sense of like, you're not going to paint with a really broad brush and say, I'm going to walk every day from now on. That really doesn't mean anything because it's not obtainable. But if you wake up every day and you say, I'm going to walk a little bit today, or I'm going to go to the gym today, or today I'm going to go sign up for the gym and stay a half hour and work out, or I'm going to get a personal trainer, or then you're actually embodying what you want to do. If your goal is relationship and you're thinking, well, I really want a good relationship in my life, I'm ready for love. Well, are you? Depending on those questions, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How do I, on the daily, give myself opportunities to strengthen each one of those things even more and expand my life? If you're not satisfied with the answer to those questions, you're not ready for a relationship because you don't have a good one with yourself yet. So that's what this is all about. The way that we really are able to put in embodiment and in action what we truly deserve in our life is to strengthen the relationship we have with ourselves and start giving ourselves what we deserve. And maybe that's like the story I told before about the kid who doesn't clean their room. Maybe today he comes home from school and he doesn't allow to go out until he cleans his room, and you stick to it because you deserve that child to have the boundaries. You deserve them to honor your words the way maybe they weren't honored in a different time in your life. So this is how we do it. We pull it apart step by step. You're not going to change your whole life in a day. I'm working on some things now. I can't change my whole life in a day, but I can take a step every day towards that change and unravel and unpack the places in your life that you already accepted things where you were not what you deserve, were less than what you deserved. Go back in the time of the relationships and the childhood and the situations and whatever it is. You know, it could even be that somebody, you know, maybe a cashier was really nasty to you in a store and you didn't speak up in a nice way. You know, whatever it is, it's all about stepping into living a life you deserve, not just receiving what you deserve, but living a life you deserve, and that you are truly worth it. And I just want to tell each and every one of you out there in the Zenkuda community that you are absolutely worth it. I'm going to send you all up a bunch of hearts right now. And I can tell you that it happens a step by step. And, you know, I'm just like you guys, I'm still working on a lot of things and making adjustments. It's a lifetime journey, but we can keep grinding it out and accepting all these things that aren't good enough for us and telling ourselves we have to, or making some silly excuses, or going home and crying. Or we can get up and really every day start to just make a minor adjustment, make a minor adjustment, make a minor adjustment. It's like, you know, static on the radio. You want that perfect pure channel, and you have to be that. You are the channel of your life. So make sure it's clear. So I hope those things help you. And, you know, I'd love to see on the regular page commenting today on Zenkuda Soul Space, how you liked the show, what you really felt was the best part, and some of the things, you know, ask me more question about what this is all about, how I overcame some things, you know. I'm working on a lot of stuff right now about this kind of stuff. So that's why I want to do it. And I also want to do it because we have a week coming in right now that is all about these type of changes and stepping into the next 12-year span of really expanding our lives. So this is a good week to be able to make these adjustments. The universe is propelling us forward. I always say it's almost like the angels have their hands on our backs and they're just like, okay, it's time, go do it, right? So I just am sending you all up some beautiful energy for that. I'm going to take a moment. We could all just like, you know, stay in our power. I'm sending that out to all of you right now. Beautiful violet light to all of you. And going to just read the comments a little bit before Sarah says, tough week and a half for me and her granddaughter. She's 4 and says just feel weird. Yeah, you know, she might be picking up energy. Bonnie says, I'm hitting the nail on the head with this topic. Yeah, because it's the cosmos right now really about this for us. And I just want you to know, like, sometimes I feel at times like I'm talking too much about myself, but I'm trying to be vulnerable and show you through my own experiences that we all are in this together and we all need a little help from our friends. And we're all friends here in the Zenkuda community supporting one another. So, and I'm going to be doing some events so we can all do that in person and really get to know each other a little better. But this is about a lifetime of trying to expand love and life. And it's not easy. But I think if we can do something every day towards really expanding our own love in our own hearts for ourselves, that's where we started. So sometimes I think I'm talking too much about myself, but I really just want you guys to know what my experience was. And then I want you guys to tell me about your experiences because I'm going to learn from you. Yeah, Pauline says, become who you want to attract. I always say that. People come to me for readings and they say, I keep attracting, you know, guys who drink too much. And I say, well, do you drink a lot? And they'll say yes. And I'll be like, well, then that's why, you know. It's like, I always tell the story of the single mom who isn't really doing a lot to better herself. And not most of the single moms I meet are the opposite of that. But the single mom who's looking for a rescue and doesn't really have a lot of money, isn't really working for better prospects, etc., wants a man who's financially stable, great with kids, all this stuff. And I'm like, but you're not going to attract that because that man doesn't want less than, right? We all want healthy partners. So when we pick a partner that wants the epitome of their partner, that's what we have to be for ourselves because we want that too. Get it? Those magnet ends, right? So we got to be all we can be, and then everything else comes in. Thank you, Bonnie, for that. That means a lot to me. Yeah, we're in a void, of course, moon, which of course, you know, but it's still a good time to journal because the energy right now is very powerful. And we've got the new moon coming in, I think on the 19th, which I think is Sunday. So my best advice to you guys as I come out of the soul space, I'm sorry we don't have time for cards tonight. I'll make it up to you guys. My best advice is to really ride the wave. I had a friend, Donna, who just passed away this past week, very long-term cancer fighter, amazing energy. And she always used to say to me, I'm riding my wave, Georgia, I'm riding my wave. And so I dedicate this show to her because she was quite a fierce, fierce fighter. Man, I'm going to cry up. But be grateful that we have the wisdom to be able to change our story because some people don't have that. And if you're here in this community, you're looking for that. So be good to yourself this week. Roll with the changes. My best advice is ride that wave, you know, find that little funnel and stay in it. Use the time to be introspective. Ask yourself those questions. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And do I give myself opportunities every day to strengthen those things even more? And what are the opportunities I'm missing? What am I have the opportunity to do and not doing? Are you driving past a gym every night? Are you, you know, going into the same behavior and wondering why it isn't changing? So those are the things we have to do. So I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back next Monday night. Our theme is going to be the 15 years of Pluto in Capricorn. I'll go through every house in the chart. So if you can look where Capricorn is in your charts, you can get a free chart on astro.com and have that chart in your hand. And I'll go through wherever it is in your chart and what these last 15 years have been for you guys and what they're going to move into as soon as Pluto changes in March. So that's going to be a great show. And I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Watch for my posts and my other videos on Zenkuda on YouTube, Zenkuda Official on Instagram, and of course, our community Zenkuda Soul Space on Facebook. I love you all. Have a great night.